This episode is brought to you by Monogram. Welcome to the Design Dash podcast, your guide to designing a life you love. Join us as we explore the keys to living the life you want without compromise.
Hey guys, welcome to the Design Dash podcast. I'm Laura Umansky here with my co-host Melissa Grove.
Hello, everybody.
And today you've got us. It's the two of us. So we don't have a guest today. And so we are going to tackle whatever the hell we want. And today we are talking about defining success on your own terms in leadership. So what does success look like for you as a leader? So we're going to delve into the personal and professional metrics and values that define success for each of us, because I have a feeling it's different. And those things can, what means you're successful, that view can change over time. So maybe at the beginning of my career or Melissa's career, it looked very different. Like success looked different than it does today. So we're going to talk about how that shifts over time. Maybe even delve into setting boundaries and how to maintain good relationships with boundaries in a leadership role. So especially in creative fields, it's important. So let's dive in and I guess jump off. Melissa, I'll ask you. So we're the only ones here. So I'm gonna ask you. What does success look like for you today in your role as a leader? And tell us about your team and what your role is in the Laura U Design Collective firm.
Yeah, so at Laura U, I'm the Chief Operating Officer. So I always tell people, I handle everything that's not a design. I am not a designer. I make that very, very clear. So I manage our marketing department, finance, admin, and then our wonderful purchasing team. And I think that when I first started out, of course, with Laura U, I was just really handling the marketing. So it was very metrics-based, results. It was all about data. It's all about impressions and reach and followers and conversion rates, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, that's still important. But I think now, because I manage so many more people and we have to be so collaborative, honestly, it's vibes. I think that for me, what success is my team happy? Are they confident? Do they have all of the tools that they need to do what they need to do? Are they hitting their metrics? I guess. I think that was the thing about being in a leadership position for much longer, is that it became less about my goals and more about theirs. And I know that if they're meeting theirs, then I'm meeting mine. So I think that it's just become more about them reaching over there. Okay. That's where they all are. What about for you?
Yeah. I mean, for you, it sounds like over time, less quantitative, more qualitative.
How are they feeling? How am I feeling? Do I feel like they're doing a good job? Okay. The success.
Yeah. And I struggle with that. So I guess for me, success is definitely what is the team? How does it feel in the office? Are we walking in or on Zoom, whatever, however you meet, because we do both, we're hybrid. So if you're walking into a meeting or the studio, is it tense? Are we on eggshells? Are we burned out? Is everyone just dead in the eyes? How are we feeling? So in that regard, yes, very much it is the vibe. What is the vibe around here? And I feel like I'm doing a good job if it's a positive vibe. But we've talked about this before. I can borderline be toxic positivity, and I in that way. So I try to maybe sometimes manufacture positivity. So I think a good measure for me is if it's authentic positivity and I'm not in there trying to be a cheerleader, then I feel good about that. But yeah, I think metrics are really an easy way to measure success just for anybody. And if you haven't set up metrics in your company or even just for yourself, I suggest you do it, because it is there are things that you do in your business every day, in your life too. I have this value wheel, and that's metrics for my life. But if you're not doing that already, I think you should consider it, because it also shows man, I'm really crushing it. I'm hitting all these metrics. I'm doing something right, or I'm falling short and I need to focus on X, Y, and Z. But when you're setting those metrics and determining what makes sense for you to track, it should just be something that is actually impactful for you, not just some we look at Instagram followers, who gives a shit? It's engagement, and is it converting? So what is really the true metric that makes sense? That's real long-winded and
Yeah,
roundabout.
well, and this is coming up for me now because we're interviewing right now for a marketing person, which of course in marketing, everything is really dictated by the numbers. And all of the people that I've interviewed have asked me, okay, what are those metrics for success? And yes, of course, those things are very cut and dry. But I think what's really important too is that people know where they stand. Like I want to have these kinds of metrics so people know, hey, I'm hitting them. I am doing a good job. I think that sometimes we shy away though from the negative parts of it. I mean, luckily with these marketers, things just fail all the time. So you get really used to being like, yeah, that was me. I made that mistake. Like that sucks. But I think that we can shy away from having those metrics. And then when that happens, instead of us, just avoiding the negativity of it, we end up ignoring even the positivity of it because now we don't know how we're measured. And so I think that those metrics are really important to a degree, just understanding where we stand. But I think that's why I'm now more so on how do people feel? Like, do you feel like you're being successful? Because I think that's ultimately what matters the most.
We'd like to thank our good friends at Monogram Appliances. We've partnered with Monogram for over a decade with our design firm, Laura You Design Collective, and we're so happy to partner with them in producing the Design Dash podcast. Monogram sources the highest quality materials for their appliances, from commercial grade stainless steel to unscratchable sapphire glass. Monogram ensures lasting beauty and unmatchable quality for your luxury kitchen. And not only that, but they have an amazing team who we love working with, and we know you will too. So thanks, Monogram.
Do you feel like you're being successful? Like, could you
Not
answer
every
that?
day. Certainly not every day. But that was something that I used to do for a while, and it was kind of like at the end of the day, did you feel like today was a good one? Did you live out your personal core values, or did you do
Yeah.
something that was really meaningful? And so yeah, that's not like I did 3 things that were meaningful today. It's not quantifiable, but it's like
But
okay, am I
generally, my
doing a good
vibe
basis?
is positive.
Right.
It's funny you say that because I am not a committed gratitude journaler, but I am trying. And so I will fall off for like months at a time, but I'm back on my gratitude journal right now. And that actually is very much a way to track your personal successes. Like what is even just by the day, because it asks me in the morning. Every morning I look at my journal and it says, what do you want to do today? And I'm like, if I just succeed in these 3 things, literally one of them is take a walk, get outside and take a walk. Like if I'm doing those things, then I am successful today. But a lot of it is like business. As a leader, I do add those things in there as well. So it's usually pretty well rounded. I have to brag on myself.
That's good. I couldn't do it first thing in the morning. I'm not a morning person. I'd be like,
Oh,
this
I have
sucks.
to. But so it's first thing in the morning, and then you do it again at night, so you can reflect back on what the hell did you do that day, and then what are you
Oh,
going to do better
okay.
tomorrow? Like what would make tomorrow better? Like what did you just completely fail at?
Well, I'm trying to change
So,
that. You're really achievement oriented, and I've always thought to myself, well,
true.
yeah, I guess I'm not. I mean, I love reaching goals, but I'm really terrible about making them, setting them, and I guess I never think of those as being like those. That's like setting those goals and then obviously reaching them. Like that's going to be successful, right? So when I'm not setting them, I think I'm missing out on achieving that kind of success.
And maybe it doesn't matter, like to you, like for me, if I didn't write it down, like I went and took a hike, whatever. If I didn't track that, it didn't happen. It doesn't count. But for
Yeah.
you, you're like, I took a hike. Yay for me. I don't care if I remember that 10 days from now.
Yeah, no. I just took a walk. I ate lunch outside today because it's finally gorgeous in Houston. Can finally
See,
eat
for me,
outside.
I'd be like,
That was a
gratitude
success.
journal, check, check. I did that. um, I guess that's a really good question. Like, when is it just not helpful to track success? Like, success, is this unhealthy? Like, all of this
I think
tracking.
if it's, I mean, it's just one of those things like, is it detrimental to your well-being? Then yeah, it's not healthy anymore. Like for me, I can get really obsessive about certain things. And then it just becomes, well, if I didn't do X, Y, and Z, then I'm a failure for today. So for me, at that
Mm.
level of tracking, then it's not helpful for me. If it were motivating for me, like if it's motivating for you and there's positive outcomes from it, then I don't see a downside. For me though, like the first second that I miss something, I'm just like, oh, it's all bad now because I'm just an all or nothing thinker. And so I just try to do little things at a time.
Yeah, no, I don't have that sense. Like if I didn't do something that I wrote down that morning, I'm like, I would like to connect with X, Y, and Z client today. If I get to the end of the day and I'm like, oh, I didn't do that, I'm not like, well, that day's a freaking loss. I'm just like, yeah, whatever, don't care. Moving on. Like I am able to just like leave it and move on.
Yeah, that's
I
good.
guess then, I mean, are my goals even, what the hell am I doing? You know, is it even worth doing if I don't care? I do care. That's a lie. I just don't care about trivial. Oh gosh, there's more to this. So let's talk about setting boundaries in a leadership role. And I mean, that can mean anything. What comes up for me with that topic is I actually was meeting with my coach yesterday, and we were talking about, she had me take the saboteur test. I don't know if you've taken it. I know how you feel about like personality testing, but I took the saboteur test. And yes, I am an achiever. Like I'm very achievement based. So like I have a boundary at work around feelings. So you talked about like coming in and like, how does it feel? How do you feel? Do you feel successful? I'm like, feelings don't have there's not a lot of room for feelings in my business world.
Yeah.
I really shut that shit down. So, and we talked about that. Like I talked about that with my coach and I'm really trying to embrace more feelings. So tell me where you're coming from on that. Is that a boundary for you?
Not when it's in the workspace. For me, I'm really private. So I don't ever really reveal everything that I did on a weekend. I was like, very vague. It was this, nobody's going to really know that.
We can read between the lines.
Or I just straight up lie. I don't want anybody to know exactly what I did. But when it comes to work stuff, then I can be pretty forthcoming. And I think it like, really, how did you feel about this? It was some of the questions that I asked the team. Even now, we had an accounting and finance meeting earlier that really shouldn't have anything to do about feelings. Right. But I'm often asking like, well, how do you feel about this deadline? So it's not like, can you make the deadline, but how do you feel about it?
I feel like it's a gross betrayal.
Because can you make it as yes or no? And who's going to say no, right? But if I'm asking like how you feel, you're just like, oh, you know what? I think it's a little bit too tight. Or I don't think this is actually urgent right now. I have
That's interesting.
All these other things. And so I think it makes it a little bit more open-ended. But I mean, everybody has a feeling about something or another. And I think it's worth exploring as long as it stays to work.
I don't like a lot of feelings. Like, I don't know that I would ever ask. Like,
what do you think that is?
How do you feel about this deadline? Like, I put this deadline in place for a reason. Here's why. And here's why I think you can do it. So unless you tell me, like, if you have a really strong case to the contrary, you're going to hit the deadline. But yeah, God, maybe that is a problem. I'm super stunted. I'm okay to talk about feelings, I think.
Yeah.
I've got nothing else. I don't know. Yeah, I think also when I think feelings in a workplace, I think liability.
No, well, that's fair.
As a business owner, I'm like, I don't think you can have a lot of like emotion talk. Feelings equal emotions to me. Maybe that's like the root of it is like, ooh, getting really emotional just there's no place for that in the studio. And we're a bunch of creatives and women, and we should be able to be vulnerable and emotional. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, maybe I'm coming from this very masculine energy of like, here is the line in the sand. You step through the threshold at that door and your feelings and your emotions are off. This is analytical. Yes, it's creative, but it is for a purpose. Like, man, I don't know though. We're designing these spaces that are supposed to elicit emotions when someone walks into them. So it is a conundrum.
And warmth and romance and nurturing. And I think you bring up a really good point about that being really masculine, because it's something that I think about. And of course, everybody's going to have these masculine or feminine traits or however we want to define them. But I think that when I first started out in my career, being it's not emotionless, but being more masculine and being a little bit more hard lined about that was a quality to me. It was like, okay, well, when I am in my career, I want to be equal to men. I want to do what men do. Like, of course I can. And I think that as I've gotten older, and then of course as I became a mother, it was more so like, but men can't do this. Men can't grow a human and then nourish that human with their bodies.
Yeah.
So like,
They're
I
not
think
doing
that
it right.
so it's just like I just started to lean into a little bit more. But again, like I haven't always been that way. But now I try to lean in a little bit more into the nurturing part of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I still am. I mean, what we're talking about is very analytical. It's very linear. Like there are a lot of black and whites. There's a lot of yes or no answers. But I think just checking in every now and again of just like, okay, are you running towards burnout? Like how are you
Yeah.
feeling about this? Like, is it too much? Because I think that, like, I mean, I'm talking about the same person. You know who I'm talking about. She's never going to tell me that she's running out of gas, right?
No,
So like,
you
I'm
can see
going
it
to
on
have
her
to.
face though. She does not have a poker face.
I know.
I want to talk really quick because you said the word like nurturing, and I think that's a really beautiful thought because I don't know. I think I do tie my success to the success of the people that I work with, and that
Yeah,
I feel like I should be nurturing those people, like our team. They are coming here because they believe in what we're doing, and like nurture is a great word. Yeah, I think I would measure my success by how well are they doing? Are they dead in the eyes? Like that is bad. So yeah, I agree. I think, and that I feel like has a really powerful feminine energy about it. I like that concept a lot.
Mhm.
I'm
But it
running
can
with
still be direct and it can still be blunt. Because one of the things that
totally.
I really hate about when people talk in the workplace, we're family, we're a family. I was like, no, we're not a
No.
family, we're a team. So
Yep.
I'm coaching you, you're coaching me. Like, I'm going to say, hey, that did not work out. How are we going to pivot? And instead of, like, I mean, sometimes in my family, we're not going to address what was negative, right? So we're just going to avoid it. And then this resentment builds. And then, Thanksgiving is a blowout, like that. Like, I
Oh
don't
my
want
God, that sounds healthy.
I don't want that to happen in the office. So I see it as, so yes, nurturing, but also like a coaching atmosphere. Like you play
Yes.
sports and your coach is not going to mince words when you mess up. And I
Yes.
think that that's also really important in a work environment also.
No, I agree. Coaching is a good word too. I mean that can have a lot of meanings, but I think we do take a coaching mentality at our firm. Just the way that we structure, onboarding, like we're really coaching them through the process. I do like the word nurture though. And that's weird for me because I normally be like gross. No, but I do like
See,
that.
you're changing. You're
I am.
changing.
I am. I am working on it, man. I am trying to become one with body and mind and soul. I am
This
like
is your
merging
weekend women's group, like really coming through.
for real. It is changing the way I think. And I'm also reading a lot of associated books. I joined this women's group, if you didn't know and you're listening along. And it is very outside of my normal thing. It's not a business group, which is bizarre for me. So it's called the Sacred Feminine. So it's very much like that melding of mind and body and spirit. And so that is outside of my comfort zone, but it is changing things for me. And I did it intentionally because I think I'm ready. I've always really separated those sides of myself. Like, I don't know. I feel like I'm very fractured. So I'm trying to become
No.
one. I'm trying to become one with myself and the universe. And I sound sarcastic, but I'm being for real.
I mean, it's one of those pillars, right? You have work and you have your family and you have your friends and your connection to self. And I think that other connection, they say it's that spiritual connection. And I'm not religious, and
No,
I
I'm
wouldn't
not
even say
either.
I'm spiritual, but there is something I think meaningful and special about connecting to like this other part of yourself. And then you can recognize that other part in other people, I think, more readily.
Yes. I don't, I'm still like very much, I'm on the cusp of seeing it in myself. So we'll see how it goes.
You're like a few more weeks out from just getting a bunch of dream catchers and turquoise jewelry.
Oh my God, I already have a dream catcher. It is in my closet. It was, yeah. Anyway, that's a long story as to why I have one. But okay, so like to rein this back in, can you tell me like what is one thing that makes you feel successful? Just generally, one thing that would happen that would make you feel like, damn, I'm successful as a leader.
I mean, it's a lot of things. I think it's not just one, but it's like the freedom and the means to be able to leave on the weekend, no problem.
Yeah.
and do something with my family or do something with my husband. We talk a lot about freedom here. Like freedom is success. Like I remember this very clearly. This is several jobs ago, and I had to work on like Thanksgiving. And I
Ew,
remember,
what?
yeah, newspapers don't shut down. I
Oh,
mean,
true.
they are now, but they're 24/7. So, and I just remember Luke texting me and he was like, gosh, you're such a slave. And that
Ugh.
never left me. Like that just hit me so hard. And after that moment, I was just like, I'm going to climb. I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do. I am never, ever going to be put in this kind of situation again where like I can't take a holiday off to spend time with my family. Like I'm trading that time for $1. And so I think not feeling stuck in that sense is success for me and just personally.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. Like I would never even dream of having someone work on a holiday.
Man, I've done it in restaurants. I've done it in newspapers. And I mean, like, it's fun when you don't have kids, but when you have, and I mean, it's not even fun when you don't have kids. It's just not fun, but it can be fun when you're making a ton of money and,
That's
that you're going
true.
out with your friends and like, that's great. But then as I got older, the money became less important. Thank goodness, that we didn't have to worry about that so much.
Hmm.
And so it just became like, can I make my own day to a
Yeah.
certain degree?
Yeah, I agree. I think freedom of time is the biggest driver for me. Freedom of time and location. Those are
Yes.
big. Obviously, like I live in Colorado and I go back and forth to Houston and I travel all over the place and I can work from anywhere and I can live my life from anywhere. So freedom of time and location. But I think like this morning, I had a slow morning and that was freaking glorious because for the last 3 weeks, I have been waking up running and just been like back to back, going crazy. And so today I woke up and I was like, this is kind of nice. Like I work from bed and like saw the kids off to the bus. And then I went and met a client at a coffee shop and that just felt really nice, like very good flow for me. So that would be success. Not
Yeah,
having
being
someone
tightly
calling and
scheduled. Ugh, tightly scheduled is, I think, the absolute worst. I hate being frantic because I'm also, you're this way too. We both like to be busy. So it's like, oh, I like having a lot of stuff to do. But when it's a lot of stuff like back to back
no,
over the course of 3 weeks, like I'll have one day like that. One
one day is
day,
fine.
cool.
One
But
day
a
is fine.
month, I'm
No.
about to shoot myself. Like it's
Yeah.
it's just that intense. Like I just want to escape. And if it
Yeah.
means dying, I'm okay with
And I,
that.
he's being dramatic, everyone. Do not worry. Melissa, are you okay? Can you just clarify?
I'm fine. I don't need to tell my therapist or anything. Just my sense of
Um,
humor.
yeah, no, I have been completely like that, like frantic for weeks. And you've seen it. You've
Mhm.
seen me. I have been a monster, horrible, just because I've been stressed out. Like my cortisol's
Yeah.
through the roof. So, yes, a slow morning is my measure of success. I think probably
Is that
for
how you
most,
know you're old? We're just like, I just want time and I want space. Is
I
that how
want
you
to
know?
drink some coffee and do the crossword. Maybe it's being old. I don't know. I kind of
It's
like it.
nice. I mean,
I'm in. I'm all in on it.
I don't know.
Fine with it. We've earned this shit. Give me a holiday off. No one's looking for me and a slow morning. Yeah, I think that's success. What would you say, like your younger team member? What means success to her?
My younger team member.
Yeah, like it's someone on your team that's younger, like maybe fresher
Mm.
in her career. What does success look like for her, if you had to guess?
Man, that's tough. I'm thinking about I'm looking at them right now. I'm thinking about individual team members and like who that would be. Some of them, I think it's very much this. It's travel. It's getting to see the world before a certain age. I think for some others, I want to be like in Laura's position by 35. That kind of thing.
Oh,
Which those are very
right
different.
now. Here you go.
I think that what's cool about when you're older is like, ooh, I can do both. That's what's exciting.
I'd be curious, like to anyone that's listening, if you're fresher in your career, whatever that means to you. What
Yeah,
is
I'd love to
success to
know.
anybody? Like even if you're like way seasoned in your career, like me and Melissa, what does
I
success look
will tell you for the people that I'm interviewing, every single one, even in the phone screens, every single one wants flexibility.
Flexibility, it's huge. It's huge. And we should freaking have it.
Yeah.
We should.
Oh my gosh, I just loved reading your job description because you guys have this hybrid work environment and you're so flexible. And I'm like, yeah, we are. We're so cool.
That's so amazing. It's amazing. We've been doing this
But
forever.
that's a big shift. You know, I feel like and I don't know, it's just anecdotal. I don't know if it had anything to do with COVID, but I feel like
100%.
pre-COVID, everybody was just like, what's the growth path like? What am I going to do in 5 years? And now everybody's just like, when do I get out of here so I can go home and ride my horses, was an actual example from earlier today. And I was like, you know what? I can get behind that. That's also important.
We've been interviewing on the design side for senior designer. And what I've been hearing is the same. It's like, love the flexibility because then I can take my kids to the doctor in the middle of the day and I don't have to worry about it. Like, it's just not a big deal. But it's also like, can I be creative too? Like, that's amazing. Like, it's a job where I can be creative and like do what I really love, but still have flexibility. Like, yay for that. That's amazing. And if you don't have to work a 40-hour work week on top of it, excellent. That's goals. Like, I want to work 30 hours a week. I'm just going to put it out there. Maybe even less.
Do you think that's a woman thing, or do you think it's like, do you think men feel that way too? I don't know. I mean, obviously not obviously, but you know, we're all women here. And so I've been interviewing a lot of women too, because they want to work with all women. And so I don't know. I'd love to learn from men too. Like, if that matters so much.
I mean, I can tell you from my husband, just like from an outside perspective, no, he doesn't care. He wakes up at 4 a.m. and as long as he's got gym time in the morning, he works all day sitting in front of that desk.
This is what happens when your hormones don't fluctuate in a monthly cycle, I think. It's just like, I just pop up with some energy.
Yeah. He just pops up with some energy and does his work. And I don't know, but he's flexible. I mean, he and I work together so that I'm talking out of my rump. Like, he can do whatever he wants. Like, he'll go like today, he's going to take Ryan, our daughter, to physical therapy for her knee. He's going to pick her up from school and take her. So that's a lie. Like, he has total flexibility too. But yeah, I don't know if that really drives him. I think it does. Like, that family balance. I do think so.
Yeah.
Not for all men, but him. Yeah, I think so for sure. He wants to be able to be involved and show up to the volleyball game and like be there for snowboarding. And I mean, we can speculate all we want. I guess we could interview a dude.
I know, we could. I do think that it's changing though, that, you know, just like work is changing. And I just feel like there's also so much to do. I mean, you just mentioned volleyball. Like, I'm so glad volleyball is ending because I feel like that has just taken up 25% of my waking life. And
that's a huge, I mean, we're done with volleyball as of today. So I hear you. It's a lot.
I just feel like there's just, when I was younger, like before I got into the workforce, I knew that being an adult would require adulting, of course, but I didn't realize that there would be just so many things to do in a given day. And there's just so little free time. And I think that that's why that freedom and like that ease, you mentioned just like a nice slow morning, like that sounds like paradise. Like, I mean, not jet setting around the world like I thought. It's just like, no, I want to sleep until 9:30.
Yeah, right. I want both. I want the jet setting and I want like the chill morning too. And the day that ends by 4 max. Like, I don't want to work till 6 p.m. But I think the good news is we can design this for ourselves. And I think we are. Right. And like, yes, there are some months that are just, that's not possible. Like, a slow morning and jet setting in a short day are just not possible. And that's okay, because I will put up with that and try to keep it in perspective as much as humanly possible, even though I do lose my mind, and you are witness to this. But I will put up with that so I want more slow mornings than not. How about that? That is success. Like, more than not. Once that balance flips and it's more shit days that are just cray than healthy and like,
then I feel like a failure.
Then I'm a failure. I'm doing something wrong and I need to make a change. That is not success. There it is. I'm going to write that down.
That's it. See, no percentages, no numbers. Like, I'm not measuring that success with any.
No. Yeah. That's true. I guess I could make a checklist. Like, did you have a nice slow morning? Check. But no, I think it is very much a gut feeling. It's like, how do I feel? How long has it been since I've had like not a screaming banshee of a morning?
Right.
Today was a good day. That is my threshold. The bar
See, this
is
was a
low.
good time to talk about this. And so, like, I'm glad we didn't have the success podcast when we were both having really bad days. I mean, like,
Oh
I
my
have
God.
no idea.
Yeah, last week would have been a different story. I'd been like, this is the worst thing ever. It's never going to end. Yeah, today was a good day. I mean, I'm wrapped up on talking about success and leadership.
Yeah, well, I think everybody out there, I really hope that you feel successful in some way. I'd love to know how everybody else defines success. I love to know from somebody who's just like, I don't define it in feelings. It's very like rigid. I'm always
Yes.
interested to see if somebody else does it a different way than I do.
I mean, if you want to touch base with Michael Umansky, I bet he can tell you. Like he weighs his food. He weighs his food. He will tell you what success looks like in metrics, numbers.
Okay. Maybe
Yeah.
that's a different podcast. That's life metrics. That could be a little.
No, that's obsession and mental health problems. But yeah, that's a different situation. So thank you so much for joining us. And please do sound off on socials or wherever you listen to this fabulous podcast. And if you want to hear more, hit that notifications button so you don't miss an episode. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for listening. Make sure to check out our next podcast, coming live next week on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. In the meantime, you can find us and more wonderful stories like these on designdash.com. And make sure to follow us at Design Dasher on Instagram and TikTok. Till next time.